Protests, demonstrations, marches, clashes. 2014 saw a surge in on-the-ground activism, and protesters took to the streets in places as disparate as Ferguson, Missouri, and Kiev, Ukraine. In February, Ukrainians railed against the government's decision to reject closer ties with the European Union. Clashes with protesters and police led to full revolution and the ouster of the sitting president. In the wake of the crisis, Russia annexed the Ukrainian region of Crimea, and fighting between the Ukrainian military and Russian-backed rebels erupted in eastern Ukraine. 8 months later, in the small African nation of Burkina Faso, protesters marched through the streets and burned government buildings in response to an announcement that the nation's president of 27 years planned to remain in office. But the massive protest eventually led to his resignation on October 31st. In the United States, the August killing of unarmed 18-year-old black man Michael Brown by a white police officer in Ferguson, Missouri, led to a prolonged period of protests that highlighted the tensions between police and African American communities, as well as an examination of local police tactics. Demonstrations reignited and spread nationally in early December, bolstered by the death of an unarmed black man, Eric Garner, during an interaction with police in New York City. In both the Brown and Garner cases, grand juries decided not to take the accused officers to trial, sending protesters into the streets from New York to Berkeley, California. 2014 marked the 25th anniversary of the Tiananmen Square protests, and pro-democracy activists took to Hong Kong's streets to demonstrate against the perceived incursion of China's central government into Hong Kong's autonomy. Demonstrators encountered police resistance by tear gas and, in one instance caught on film, police appeared to beat a protester. The demonstrations began in September and have lasted into December. In late September, 43 male students from Iguala, Mexico, disappeared en route to a local protest. It is believed that they were taken by police, handed over to a local drug cartel, murdered, and their bodies were burned. The convergence of murder and alleged corruption led to national protests against the government's handling of the incident. Protests were both peaceful and violent, and driven by anger over drug-related violence in Mexico that has claimed an estimated 100,000 lives since 2006. By September, ISIS's march through the Middle East reached Turkey's border with Syria as the Islamists laid siege to the predominantly Kurdish city of Kobani. As the Turkish government weighed its response to Islamists at its door, Turkish Kurds took to the streets to demand intervention by the military. Turkey has resisted calls to support the Kurds in their fight against ISIS, but has allowed Kurdish fighters from Iraq to travel through their country to reach Kobani. With many flashpoints in Ukraine, the Middle East, and even here in America still raging, 2015 may be another year of mass demonstrations in the streets.